তাদের পরিচয়টা দেন, হ্যাঁ, যারা একদম নতুন। কারণ পরে আমরা সময় পাবো না। যারা আগে আগে আমাদের ওরিয়েন্টেশন পান নাই বা কোনো ক্লাসে করেন নাই, তো পরিচয় দেন। আর বাইরে অবশ্যই সবাই সবাই তো বাসায় আছেন, অসুবিধা নেই। আপনারা
জি, আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আমি শুরু করছি। আমি মোহাম্মদ মাইনুদ্দিন।
আপনার ওয়েবক্যামটা কি অন করা যাবে নাকি মাইনুদ্দিন?
স্যার, ওয়েবক্যাম অন করা যাবে, কিন্তু আসলে তো বাসা থেকে করতেছি, দেখা গেছে যে বাসা তো বুঝে দিই স্যার, এখন
ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডটা, হ্যাঁ বুঝতে পারছি।
হ্যাঁ, তো এটা একটা সমস্যা। আমি চেষ্টা করবো এই মিটিং এর ফাঁকে,
নেক্সট সেশন থেকে বা এর ফাঁকে যদি পারেন আপনারা ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডটা চেঞ্জ করে নেওয়া যায়, করে নিয়ে অসুবিধা নেই।
ঠিক আছে, আমি স্যার চেষ্টা করবো ইনশাআল্লাহ।
আচ্ছা বলেন।
জি, যে আমি মোহাম্মদ মাইনুদ্দিন। আমি ইউনিসেফে জব করছি 2015 সাল থেকে লজিস্টিক অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট হিসাবে। এর আগে আমি আরো বিভিন্ন অর্গানাইজেশনে কাজ করেছি। মূলত আমার ট্র্যাকই হচ্ছে অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন এন্ড লজিস্টিক্স।
ইউনিসেফ
ইউনিসেফ জাতিসংঘের একটা অঙ্গ সংগঠন হচ্ছে ইউনিসেফ, যারা চিলড্রেনদের আর উইমেনদের নিয়ে কাজ করে।
আচ্ছা, এরপরে একজন বলেন।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম। রবিউল আলম, রবিউল হোসেন।
জি, ভালো আছেন?
জি জি বলেন আপনার।
আমি ইউনেস্কো গ্রুপ থেকে কালোপাট শিল্প এলাকায় আমাদের।
আচ্ছা,
আমি ডেপুটি ম্যানেজার সাপ্লাই চেইন।
এরপরে ইসরাফিল হোসেন বলে। ইসরাফিল হোসেন কি আমাদের ওরিয়েন্টেশন পেয়েছিলেন?
জি না স্যার, আমি আজকে প্রথম ক্লাস করতেছি। স্যার আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
সালাম।
আমি মোহাম্মদ ইসরাফিল হোসেন। আমি কাজী ফার্ম গ্রুপে আছি। লাইন ফিডমিল ডেন্টালে অ্যাকাউন্টস এন্ড স্টোর এন্ড অ্যাকাউন্টস ইনচার্জ হিসেবে আছি বর্তমানে।
ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ। এরপরে মিজানুর রহমান।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম। জি বলেন।
আমি রিসেন্টলি বিবিএ কমপ্লিট করেছি ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে, এবং একটা ছোট ইম্পোর্ট এক্সপোর্ট রিলেটেড একটা ফার্মে আছি, ওটা আর কি দেখাশোনা করতেছি।
আপনি ওখানে কি হিসেবে আছেন?
অ্যাকচুয়ালি ওটা আমার ফাদারের বিজনেস, তো ওটা থেকে আর কি যতটুকু এক্সপেরিয়েন্স নেওয়া যায় সেটা নিচ্ছি।
আচ্ছা, ওখানে ডিরেক্টর আর কি নাকি?
বলা যায় ওয়ান কাইন্ড অফ।
আচ্ছা, না আপনার আমরা ইসে দেখলাম আর কি, এক্সপেরিয়েন্সের ভিতরে লেখা ছিল ডিরেক্টর। আচ্ছা যাই হোক, এরপরে ফাহাদ আফরোজ।
আমি ফাহাদ আফরোজ, আমি ল্যাবরেটরি সাপ্লাই চেইনে সিনিয়র এক্সিকিউটিভ হিসেবে আছি।
আচ্ছা,
হ্যালো।
হ্যাঁ, এরপরে জি জি বলেন।
না স্যার, ওকে।
আচ্ছা, এরপরে কে বলবেন? রুবেল হোসেন তো বলছেনই। জিল্লুর রহমান।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম।
শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
জি জি শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
যে আমি আসলে টিচিং এ আছি। আমি ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ জিল্লুর রহমান, অ্যাসোসিয়েট প্রফেসর।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, আপনি ওরিয়েন্টেশনে ছিলেন মনে হয়।
হ্যাঁ, শাহজাহান ইউনিভার্সিটি, আমি বিজনেস
জি।
ফ্যাকাল্টির
জি, জি।
ডিপার্টমেন্টের ফ্যাকাল্টি।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, ওই আপনি আনিসুর রহমানের তো সিনিয়র মনে হয়।
জি 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 জি, আমি সেকেন্ড ব্যাচের আর কি।
আচ্ছা, বুঝতে পারছি।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
ওয়ালিদ বিন আলম।
ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ।
ইয়েস, হ্যালো, কেমন আছেন সবাই?
জি আছে আলহামদুলিল্লাহ, বলেন।
হ্যালো,
জি জি জি, আপনার পরিচয়টা একটু দেন।
আমি ওয়ালিদ বিন আলম, জব করছি ওয়ালটন গ্রুপে, ওয়ালটন হাইটেকে সাপ্লাই চেইনে অ্যাজ এ ফার্স্ট অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট ডিরেক্টর হিসেবে।
আচ্ছা, এরপরে আর কেউ নতুনদের ভিতরে কেউ আছেন? ইসমাইল হোসেন।
শোনা যাচ্ছে?
জি শোনা যাচ্ছে। মোহাইমিনুল রায়হান। জি জি বলেন।
মোহাইমিন চৌধুরী। জি, আমি বিবিএমবিএ করেছি জাহাঙ্গীরনগর ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে, ফাইন্যান্স এন্ড ব্যাংকিং থেকে। আমি এমজিএইচ গ্রুপে সাপ্লাই চেইনে ছিলাম অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট ম্যানেজার হিসেবে। রিসেন্টলি আমি সুইচ করেছি এশিয়ান পেইন্টে, এখন জয়েন করেছি এই মাসেই। ওখানে ডিস্ট্রিবিউশনে সিনিয়র এক্সিকিউটিভ হিসেবে আছি।
আচ্ছা, এরপরে আর কেউ? মিনহাজুল আবেদিন তো মনে হয় ছিলেন আগে ওরিয়েন্টেশন সম্ভবত। ফয়সাল M31।
স্যার আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
আচ্ছা, জি আপনি কি ওরিয়েন্টেশনে ছিলেন নাকি?
না স্যার, ওরিয়েন্টেশনে ছিলাম না আমি।
আচ্ছা বলেন।
স্যার আমার নাম হচ্ছে মোহাম্মদ ফয়সাল চৌধুরী, আমি বসুন্ধরা গ্রুপে আছি, সাপ্লাই চেইন ডিপার্টমেন্টে ফরেন পারচেজে
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
ডেপুটি ম্যানেজার হিসেবে।
জি থ্যাংক ইউ।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
আচ্ছা, এরপরে আজিজুল হাকিম আকাশ, অবশ্য জয়েন এখনো করেনি, অনেকে করতেছে। আচ্ছা, সামায়ান আছেন? সামায়ান শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? সামায়ান? সোহেল খান। এরপর আচ্ছা, আর কেউ আছেন একদম নতুন? সোহেল খান কি? জি জি বলেন। সোহেল কবির।
আমি সোহেল কবির। জি
জি জি বলেন।
আমি আছি হচ্ছে গ্রুপ রিদির সাথে।
আপনাদের ওয়েবক্যাম গুলো একটু অন করেন, যারা সম্ভব হয়, যাদের জন্য সম্ভব হয় তারা একটু অন করে রাখেন।
জি, আমি রিদি স্যানিটেক্স লিমিটেড আছি সাপ্লাই চেইন ম্যানেজার হিসেবে।
রাইট। আচ্ছা, এরপরে নতুন কেউ আছেন আর?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম।
স্যার আমি ওরিয়েন্টেশনে ছিলাম না এবং এখনো বলি নাই স্যার কিছু।
আচ্ছা বলেন।
আচ্ছা, আমি মোহাম্মদ রুবেল হোসাইন, আমি ডিবিএল গ্রুপে আছি, অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট ম্যানেজার প্ল্যানিং এ। আর আমার ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড, আমি একজন টেক্সটাইল ইঞ্জিনিয়ার এবং এমবিএ করেছি বিইউপি থেকে, এখন সিএসসিএম এর জন্য বিআইএসসিএম এর সাথে আছি।
আচ্ছা, আল সামায়ান শুনতে পাচ্ছেন মনে হয় নাকি আপনার?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম।
জি স্যার, আমি মোহাম্মদ ইসমাইল হোসেন বলছিলাম।
আচ্ছা, একজনের দুইটা ডিভাইস ইউজ করতেছেন, আপনারা একটা ইউজ করবেন। হ্যাঁ, কষ্ট করে একটা ইউজ করবেন। সামায়ানের কিন্তু দুইটা ডিভাইস অন করা দেখা যাচ্ছে। ওই আমরা অনেক সময় দুইটা দেখলে একটা রিমুভ করে দেই, পরে হয় কি যে যেটা আপনি ফাংশন করবেন ওইটাই যদি রিমুভ হয়ে যায় তখন আপনার জন্য সমস্যা হয়ে যাবে। তখন তাহলে দুইটাই রিমুভ হয়ে যেতে পারে, কারণ একটা আইডি থেকে ওই অনেকের ফোনে দেখা যায় একটাই জুম আইডি কিন্তু দুইটা মোবাইলে অ্যাপ করা। আচ্ছা হ্যাঁ বলেন। নেক্সট।
জি আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম।
জি স্যার, আমি মোহাম্মদ ইসমাইল হোসেন বলছিলাম।
জি জি।
আমি বেস্ট ইলেকট্রনিক্স লিমিটেডে ওয়্যার হাউসে আছি।
আচ্ছা, এরপরে?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম। জি জামাল মিয়া। জি জি বলেন।
মোহাম্মদ জামাল মিয়া, আমি অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট ম্যানেজার হিসেবে আছি দ্য সিভিল ইঞ্জিনিয়ার্স লিমিটেড কোম্পানিতে, পাওয়ার প্ল্যান্টে আর কি, ওখানে স্টোর অ্যান্ড সাপ্লাই চেইন ডিপার্টমেন্টে আছি।
এরপরে কেউ বাকি আছেন?
আমি মোহাম্মদ শহীদুল ইসলাম, ডেপুটি ম্যানেজার অপারেশন, বেঙ্গল এলপিজি লিমিটেড, বাংলা।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, আমাদের স্যার অলরেডি জয়েন করছেন, আসিফ সালাম স্যার। স্যার আমি আপনাকে হোস্ট করে দিচ্ছি। আর আপনার জি স্যার, আর একটা হলো যে অনেকে মোটামুটি জয়েন করছে, অনেকে এখনো করতেছে আর কি।
ঠিক আছে, অসুবিধা নেই।
ওকে,
আসসালামু আলাইকুম সবাইকে।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম স্যার।
জি আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
স্যার কেমন আছেন?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার।
আলহামদুলিল্লাহ, আপনি সবাই ভালো আছেন?
জি স্যার, আপনি কেমন আছেন স্যার?
ভালো আছি আলহামদুলিল্লাহ। ডক্টর মনির, আমি ফাইল আপলোড করব নাকি?
হ্যাঁ না, ফাইল করতে পারেন হোস্ট তো আপনি স্যার। ওই কেউ অনেকে ক্লাসে ওই যে মিউট করা থাকে, আপনি সেন্ট্রালি সব মিউট করে দিতে পারেন স্যার। ওই মাইক্রোফোন গুলো
আচ্ছা
একটু মিউট করে দিন সবাইকে, কারণ ওই যে সাউন্ড আসবে মাঝে মাঝে, এই জন্য মিউট করে রাখলে ভালো হয়। আপনি শুধু
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আমি ফাইল আপলোড করার অপশনটা দেখছি না এখানে।
আপনি করতে পারবেন স্যার, এখন আপনি স্ক্রিন শেয়ার করতে পারবেন।
স্ক্রিন শেয়ার করব?
শেয়ার স্ক্রিন করতে পারবেন, জি। আপলোড তো করতে পারবেন স্যার। আপনি দেখেন আগে আপনার ইয়া হয় কিনা, স্ক্রিন শেয়ার হওয়ার কথা।
হ্যাঁ স্ক্রিন শেয়ার হবে সম্ভবত, এক সেকেন্ড।
আপনার সামনে তো স্ক্রিন শেয়ারের অপশনটা আসে মনে হয়, শেয়ার স্ক্রিন যে সবুজ ইয়াটা বাটনটা তো আসে।
হ্যাঁ বুঝলাম, এটা কেন জানি হাইড হয়ে আছে এখানে।
তাই আপনার কিন্তু ইয়া করা, আপনার হোস্ট করা আছে।
আচ্ছা
এখন এমন যদি হয় তাহলে আপনি হয়তো আবার ঢুকে ইয়া করতে পারেন, মানে আমাকে হোস্ট করে আপনি বের হয়ে যান, পরে আবার ইন করলেন, যদি এরকম হয় যে হাইড হয়ে যায় বারবার।
ঠিক আছে আচ্ছা আমি আবার
তাহলে আমাকে হোস্ট করে দেন স্যার।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে
স্যার। ওই স্ক্রিন শেয়ারে মাল্টিপল শেয়ার অপশনটা সিলেক্ট করে দিলেই হবে, তাহলে আর হাইড হবে না স্যার।
না না সেটা তো হবে না যদি একাধিক হয়, কিন্তু স্যার তো অলরেডি হোস্ট, সে তো হোস্ট তো করতেই পারবে। যেমন আমার এখান থেকে শেয়ার আসতেছে, তার মানে এখান থেকে যেহেতু শো করতেছে তাহলে আমিও করতে পারি। না এটা মাল্টিপল করা আছে সম্ভবত,
এটা মাল্টিপল করা আছে সবার।
এটা অনেকেই শেয়ার করতে পারবে।
রাইট
এই লাইটটা তো একটু রিফ্রেশ হবে।
হ্যাঁ হচ্ছে,
শেয়ার স্ক্রিন হচ্ছে এখন।
জি স্যার হচ্ছে স্যার।
স্লাইড দেখা যাচ্ছে ইয়াতে স্ক্রিনে এখন?
স্লাইড এখন আসে নাই, বাট স্ক্রিনটা আসছে। স্ক্রিন চলে আসছে স্যার, এখন শুধু স্লাইডটা আপনার ইয়া করলে হবে।
স্লাইড এখন আসেনি?
না এখন আসে নাই, তাহলে আপনার ইমেইলটা আসছে আর কি, ইমেইলের অপশনটা।
আচ্ছা এখন আসছে?
না না আপনার ওই
আপনার সাইড বাটনে শো করছে, আপনি যদি ইমেলটা মিনিমাইজ করে দেন অন করেন,
মিনিমাইজ করেন তাইলেও হইতে পারে।
আচ্ছা 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 এখন আসছে স্ক্রিন?
না ওইটা মিনিমাইজ হয়নি স্যার। আপনার যে ইয়াটা দেখা যাচ্ছে,
হ্যাঁ
ওই আপনি হোয়াটসঅ্যাপে পাঠাই আপনার ইয়াটা, পিকচারটা।
আমি ইয়ে করে আবার লগ ইন করি, তাহলে মনে হয় সুবিধা হবে।
আপনি স্ক্রিনটাকে একদম ক্লোজ করে পরে আবার স্ক্রিন শেয়ার করেন, তাইলে হয়ে যাবে।
এখন কেমন? এখন স্ক্রিন স্লাইড আসছে?
এখন আসছে।
ওকে ওকে থ্যাংক ইউ সরি ফর দ্য কনফিউশন।
আমার গান চাটা করতেছি।
মাইক্রোফোন গুলো একটু অফ করে রাখেন, কারণ ওই আপনাদের বাসার কথাগুলো আসে। প্লিজ আপনাদের ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডে যা নয়েজ আছে অফ করে রাখেন মাইক্রোফোন। সবাইকে একটু অনুরোধ করছি, কারণ খেয়াল করবেন না অনেক সময় সাউন্ডটা চলে আসবে।
আচ্ছা, এখন তাহলে স্লাইড ক্লিয়ারলি দেখা যাচ্ছে, তাই না? আমার সাউন্ড ক্লিয়ার আসছে?
হ্যাঁ, এখন সাউন্ডও ঠিক আছে, স্লাইড দেখা যাচ্ছে।
Yes, thank you. Assalamu alaikum once again, everyone, and welcome back to the Supply Chain Professionals program. First of all, before we get down into our discussion on the topic for today, just let me take a quick overview of the class. How many of you have a job with the title of supply chain management, or supply chain manager, or procurement manager, operations manager, or warehouse, distribution, transportation? Can I see a hand?
Yeah, myself, I'm working as a quality manager, senior quality manager in KDS Group.
Okay. And where are you working?
I'm working in Chittagong KDS Group, Garments Division.
KDS Group?
Yes.
Okay. এটা কি গার্মেন্টস কোম্পানির বিজনেসটা কি?
Garments industries, ready-made garments.
Ready-made garments. আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
Yes.
আচ্ছা। আর এছাড়া anybody else working in the supply chain somehow, indirectly or directly?
I am Taifran. I'm working as logistics manager, Fair Group, Fair Electronics, mainly Samsung, with Samsung.
Okay, 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 very good. So how many years have you been working there with the Fair Group?
The Fair Group, I'm working 10 months. 10 months only. Before that, I was working in Butterfly Marketing Limited. LG, Butterfly LG Marketing Limited, as warehouse manager.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. Anybody else?
This is Mohammed Sohail Kabir.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the name. Can you repeat the name?
This is Mohammed Sohail Kabir.
Okay, Sohail Kabir.
I'm working in a knit composite factory as a supply chain and procurement manager.
Okay. So how long have you been working in that position?
I have been working here 4 months, 4 years.
4 years.
4
Okay.
years, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. So next, anybody else?
Me working in MGH Group in distribution portion as assistant manager since 4 years. MGH Group is basically the sole distributor of PNG, Sunfarm and Sanofi in Bangladesh.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Rabiul Hussain.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I am working in deputy manager supply chain. It is UNESCO Group, where situated Calabar heavy industrial area.
Okay.
I am working since 2008 till now.
Okay, mashallah. So you have been there almost 12 years in the same company with the same position?
No, sir. I am started my career as the executive account, then commercial, then supply chain and procurement. Now deputy manager.
Okay.
Now deputy manager.
So this is Rabiul Hussain, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is your? You have been working in this industry for some time. So what is your expectation from this program, from this course? What do you want to learn?
Actually, I work in same track, supply chain and procurement, local and foreign. Both the purchase I have been look after for our company. This our company Need Composite Textile.
Okay.
And learn.
Okay. Go ahead.
I enrolled this CSCM course to know more areas, more knowledge which out of mind. Can gather more knowledge, import, export, transportation, logistics, warehouse management, etc.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I can see this is quite an interesting group, and you have quite a diverse background across different industries and different functional positions. So interestingly, this is a very right course that you have enrolled in. This is a program that is really is designed to equip your professional skills, equip you with the skills that will enhance your professional expertise. তো আসলে এখন সাপ্লাই চেইন ম্যানেজমেন্টটা এটা হচ্ছে একটা মানে খুবই ফাস্ট গ্রোয়িং একটা ফিল্ড, এবং অনেকেই যারা আগে এমবিএ করেছে কিংবা বিজনেস লাইনে লেখাপড়া করেছে, তো এখন মানে তাদের যেই প্রিভিয়াস ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড, বিজনেস রিলেটেড ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড কিংবা ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং রিলেটেড ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড, দ্যাট ইজ নট ইনাফ। এটা সাপ্লাই চেইন যে যে ফাংশনটা, সাপ্লাই চেইন প্রসেসটা, এটা বোঝার জন্য দ্যাট ইজ নট ইনাফ। সেই কারণে এই যে সাপ্লাই চেইন প্রোগ্রামটা যেটা এখানে আমরা শিখতে এসেছি, this program is going to give you something beyond, much more beyond that what a traditional business program will offer. So সেই জন্য I hope you all will be agreeing with me that you're in the right program, you're in the right place that will take you to the next level in your professional career. So before I start, actually I can see all of your names in front of me, and I would like to know all of you, and probably hopefully inshallah I will be meeting all of you time and again, and in the course of time we will get to know each other. So during this time I would like to introduce myself first, and then I will continue with the topic, and then if you have any questions I will invite your questions at the end of this session. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sure. Okay, sir.
All right. So as you can see my name in front of you, I'm Asif Salam. Currently I'm working at the King Abdulaziz University as a professor of supply chain management, and I've been with the different universities before, and also I've been working in different capacities with different organizations. I've been in Canada, and I'm still in Canada. I'm involved with the Canadian universities, and I'm here as a guest faculty to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So with my affiliation and my background, I would like to help contribute you to learn, and also I would like to learn from your experience and your expertise in the area of supply chain management. So I think this will be a very interesting program that we can exchange our views and experiences to share and enrich our knowledge and expertise in the area of supply chain management. So just to give you a glimpse on the areas of industries that I have been working on with the companies across different sectors. I have been working across public and private sector, and these are the companies that I have worked as a consultant, as a management consultant or supply chain consultant, and I have been working on research programs as well with some of them. So basically I have got a mixed experience across fast-moving consumer goods industries, like for example, food, also with the grocery, with also the fashion, and as well as electronics, and also high-tech sector. So across different industries, I have been working, and from my experience with the companies across different countries, different parts of the continents in North America, Asia, and also Middle East and Europe, I have gained some experiences that help me to understand the dynamics of supply chain, which I would like to share with you in this program. So at this point, anybody having any question before we jump into the concept of supply chain management, before we move on into the next step?
আমরা স্যার এখনো ফার্স্ট স্লাইডেই আছি, একদম শুরুর যে স্লাইডটা।
আচ্ছা, it's not moving?
এখন মুভ করছে যাই, কিন্তু মাঝখানে কিছু স্লাইড মনে হয় বাদ পড়ছে স্যার। হ্যাঁ, আপনার এই যে এক্সপেরিয়েন্সের এটা হ্যাঁ বাদ পড়ছে, এটা ঠিক আছে, যে আপনি যে বিভিন্ন জায়গায় কাজ করছেন এটা।
আচ্ছা 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 আচ্ছা, actually I have shared the slide in the WhatsApp. If you can share with everyone so they can follow from the slides as well. So for the time being, please bear with me. Can you see the slide in front of you?
Yes, sir. Now visible.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I will stay with this mode of viewing. So what I want to again reiterate in this discussion is I would like to make sure that you understand when we talk about supply chain management, what it is and what we mean by supply chain management. This is very important because we use the terminology supply chain management quite often, and sometimes we think that supply chain is just another process that manages the business functions, like for example, finance, accounting, marketing, production, operations, and something like that. But supply chain management itself is a boundary spanning a field which starts with the suppliers and it ends with the end users or the final customers. So when we deal with the supply chain management, this supply chain management concept is applicable across every industry, across every sectors. Like for example, as you can see that, are you familiar with the name Walmart here in the slide? Are you
Yes.
familiar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What is their business? What is the business of Walmart? What they do?
They are mixing apparel business. Apparel and food. Apparels and foods or electronics like this.
আমাদের তো আজকের সেশনে স্যার someone from Walmart also in Bangladesh. He is working in Walmart in Bangladesh perspective.
Okay, wonderful. Who is that? Can I see the name?
Mr. Ahmed Raja, he has joined out, I don't know. Mr. Ahmed Raja and Abdul Karim.
Okay, wonderful. So what kind of process that you're handling on behalf of Walmart in Bangladesh? Abdul Karim?
Maybe
Abdul Karim is not
absent, maybe today absent, maybe sir.
Okay, okay, no problem, no problem. Actually, when we look at the Walmart's business, it is like touching an elephant. Like I'm sure you know the story of seven blind people. They went to see the elephant, and when they went to see the elephant, because they are blind, they cannot see the elephant, so they were trying to understand what an elephant looked like. So when they started trying to understand what an elephant looked like, each of them went into different directions and they were touching the elephant, that how it feels like. Someone touched the trunk, someone touched the tail, someone touched the feet, someone touched its ear, and everybody is defining the elephant from their understanding of what they found. So actually, supply chain management itself is similar like an elephant, and at times we look at it from different perspectives, from different angles, from different contexts, and we understand this is what is supply chain management is all about. So Walmart's supply chain is a very interesting supply chain where it deals with a few 100,000, couple of thousand SKUs in Walmart's supply chain. Are you familiar with the terminology SKU, SKU?
Stock keeping unit, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, stock keeping unit. Yes, exactly, stock keeping unit. So Walmart has got like if you count the number of SKUs, it could reach up to even millions. Yeah, as they handle, and each of the Walmart stores are equipped with different kinds of products. Not only the apparels, not only garments. They have electronics. They have consumer goods. They have got food. They have got so many different. You can literally find everything in one store under one roof in any of the Walmart stores. So basically Walmart itself having a huge supply chain network. And if you know that Walmart is the largest retail chain, franchise retail chain in the world. It is US based, but they have their operations in Canada, in Mexico. They have their operations in Malaysia. Walmart exists in UK and also in South America. So they have got their extensive operations across different countries in their different continents. So what happens is Walmart, they do the sourcing of different products from different parts of the world. Like for example, for the garments that they sell in their stores in North America, in US, Canada, these most of the garments they source from Bangladesh is one of the biggest supplier. Also, they are sourcing from South American countries like Ecuador, El Salvador, and also some of them come from like Vietnam. Some come from India. Some come from as well as China.
So Kenya also, I think.
Yes, they will go anywhere in the world where they will find the cheapest price.
Yes,
that is their business strategy. So what happens is Walmart is in Bangladesh and they have very good established network. And how Walmart work, do you know? What is their supply chain strategy? How they manage their supply chain? Give me some idea based on your experience with Walmart. Anyone in this room?
Through institutional contract?
Yes, that's one of them. But what is the basis for their institutional contract? Like, but based on what basis they do the contractual agreements? Okay, let me give you
price and quality.
Yes, that is one of the very important criteria. Like Walmart, they have their retail strategy that they follow. That is called EDLP. EDLP stands for everyday low price. Everyday low price. So what they mean by this is you cannot find cheaper than Walmart anywhere, and if you find it cheaper than Walmart anywhere, they will give you that product for free and they will return your money as well. Okay, so what happens is Walmart will go anywhere around the world wherever they will find the cheapest product with the best quality. So when we think about the cheapest price, sometimes we might think that the quality may be not good, but in case of Walmart, that's not true. The products that they sell in their stores, they maintain a very high quality products, and they compete on price as well. So what happens is Walmart, they will source from wherever they get the best of these two, the best combination of these two, which is the price and the quality. So that's why you can see that Walmart is in Bangladesh. And who is their nearest competitor? Walmart's nearest competitor, it would be the Tesco in UK. Are you familiar with the name Tesco?
Yes. Tesco,
Yeah,
I think H&M also, I think there is a competitor.
Yeah, H&M is in the clothing sector, in the garment sector, but overall, in terms of the SKU, the second largest retailer in the world after Walmart is the Tesco, which is the UK based. And after Tesco, the number 3 is the Carrefour. Are you familiar with Carrefour?
Yes.
Carrefour is the French brand, is a French retail chain, and Tesco is the UK-based, England-based retail chain, and Walmart is the US-based. So what happens is these 3 big retail chains, they all have their sourcing office in Bangladesh. They do the garment sourcing, especially garments and clothing sourcing from Bangladesh, a large amount. So how Walmart work is basically, let's say, for example, after a few days, next week, the Christmas holiday is coming, right? And in the US and in Canada, in North America, they call it, they have something called Black Friday, or they have in Canada, we call it a Boxing Day. Boxing Day and Black Friday, it's basically the same thing. Usually it comes around 26th of December. So what happens is they will prepare their inventory ahead of time to create a huge promotional sales, and this is the time of the year they will be preparing for the last 6 months. Like, for example, for this December, they have been working since the beginning of the year. So what happens is Walmart will make sure that their inventory is never running zero. They will make sure their inventory is never running zero. So how they will manage their supply chain so that their stores, they have got close to 1,000 stores across the US, and also many hundreds of the stores across other parts of the world. So how come they will make sure each and every single store will have sufficient inventory, and they are available right at the right time, at the right place, with the right quality, with the right quantity, for the right customer. Like, for example, the round neck t-shirts, the white t-shirt that we use under the shirts, right? Like the t-shirt that we wear inside our dress, the cotton t-shirt, which is very cheap, and Walmart will sell them, like, for example, one t-shirt maybe $1. তো বাংলাদেশি টাকায় এটা হবে 80 টাকা, 80 কিংবা 82 টাকা এরকম একটা প্রাইস হবে। তো they will sell this at the price of $1 in Bangladesh, sorry, in US market or Canadian market. But at this price, just imagine they are selling at the price of $1. Then how about the material costing, the labor costing, the transportation, customs, excise duty, and other miscellaneous expenses that runs toward the supply chain. So this t-shirt that they are selling at $1 piece in US Walmart, that means by the time it is leaving the factory in Dhaka or in Chittagong, and by the time it is leaving the factory after material costing and labor costing, how would be the what will be the total price? What will be the total cost of manufacturing that $1 t-shirt from a factory in Bangladesh? What is your guess? What would be your best guess that that product is leaving the factory at what price?
It is almost $1, not less than $1.
Okay, but how come they are selling it at $1 per piece in US?
I think they're recovered from the others product.
Okay. So this is where there's a one terminology which we call the volume negotiation. Okay, so in supply chain terminology, we have a terminology called buy more, pay less. Because if you are having the big quantity, you're buying in big quantity, the higher or greater will be your negotiation power, and you can really negotiate the price very strongly. So what happens is, this Walmart, they will contact the factory in Bangladesh, and they will say that, okay, I need maybe 10 million t-shirts in next 6 months time, or next one year time, and they will ask this question, that how much you'll give me per piece. So they will also ask for the breakdown of their costing. What will be your material costing? What will be your labor costing? What will be your transportation and excise duties and everything included? And then what will be your total cost? And also they will ask this question, what will be your margin? So normally the factory don't want to give this information, right? No business want to give this information that what is their margin. Whenever somebody asks, they will try to not to say this answer. Am I right? What do you think?
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. So what Walmart do, they will find out to the bottom of the costing process, and even including their margin. So they will say that I'm keeping maybe margin of 3 cent a piece, for example. And Walmart will say, no, you cannot keep 3 cents, keep 1 cent only per month, per piece. Yes. And that will be their bottom line of the negotiation, and they will keep the total cost rock bottom. Rock bottom means there cannot be anything below this. And what they do is basically they have a volume. They have the power to negotiate based on the size of the volume they have, because no buyer can buy such a big volume like them. And the capacity that they will buy, it's really huge. And it is very attractive customer. Walmart is a very attractive customer for any garment manufacturer for this kind of products, because you have one assembly line, you have one setup, and you can produce so many units in one single setup with the same raw materials. Just the sizes will be small, medium, large, extra large, and super large maybe. So these will be the different sizes. Other than your material is same, your process is basically same. So it is also good for the factory, garment factory, because they don't need to change the setup. They don't need to change the design. They don't need to do anything else. It's simple and straightforward process for them. So they can really produce quickly in a shorter time. And it is also cost effective for them. So what Walmart will do, they will give them this negotiation that instead of per piece, they will say, okay, 20 cents. And by the time it reach to the US into their distribution center, in total, that will cost them total maybe 50 cents. And their selling price is $1. Okay.
It's still 50 cents they're benefiting.
Yeah. Yeah, and they will make sure, they're making a substantial amount of profit. They will not sacrifice their profit, and they will make sure they will squeeze the margins so hard that they will make sure that their margin is big enough. So in this process, this is the underlying story in a supply chain, and this is just one example. And if you look at other examples, like if you look at Zara, or if you look at H&M, if you look at any other fashion design stores across the world, they have the similar kind of process, and that's why they go to Bangladesh. That's why they are moving from China to Bangladesh now, despite all the challenges they face. So they don't want to lose the relationship suppliers from Bangladesh, because it is also a very profitable relationship for the North American businesses. So that's why you will see that despite many challenges in Bangladesh, like the port congestion, sometimes the traffic congestion, sometimes the labor strike, and this and that, and also on top of everything, there is a COVID-19 pandemic. So all these issues are around, but still they always come back to Bangladesh, and there is a reason for that. And that is the reason that I just mentioned just a few minutes back. So with that, when we look at the supply chain, one of the important part of the supply chain process is the manufacturers, and also we have the suppliers, we have the transportation service providers, or you can call them also there are parties involved like the 3PL, the third party logistics. Are you familiar with the 3PL concept?
Yes.
Okay. So there are 3PLs involved, and also there are also 4PL. Are you familiar with 4PL as well?
No, I am not clear about this.
Okay. 3PL is basically the logistics service provider who has got the resources, who own the trucks, containers, they have their warehouses and everything. But the 4PLs, they operate based on the network, but the 4PL do not own anything. So they will integrate multiple 3PLs, and they will integrate them based on their network service they have established between the 3PLs, but they don't own anything. They are just connecting the suppliers, customers, and manufacturers from different parts of the world. Okay. So in the supply chain process, as you can see, we have got one side is the supplier and another side is the customer. And in between these two parties, there are a couple of different entities they are operating, starting from the suppliers. We have got manufacturers, we have got the distribution centers, warehouses, transportation service providers. And on top of these, also there are some of the industries, like for example, if you look at the garments industry, we have got garments manufacturer, but there are also many suppliers. They are working with the garments manufacturers. Can you tell me some of these suppliers who are working with the garment manufacturers?
Yes, supplier means material supplier is there.
Yes,
like, supplier is there.
Like for example?
Example means like fabrics. Where is making the fabrics? From where we are collecting the fabrics for the process? They are the one of supplier for the garments.
Exactly. There are accessories supplier. There are the fabric supplier. There are color supplier. There are dyeing supplier. There are other many suppliers involved, right? So we need them as well, because the manufacturer cannot do everything. So manufacturer has to work with those suppliers, and some of those suppliers we call them the first tier supplier, second tier supplier. Like for example, like the fabric, for example, fabric or the yarn, or all these suppliers. They need also the upstream supplier. Upstream means they also need their supplier. They also have their supplier. Like for example, the cotton supplier, right? And these cotton suppliers, they work with maybe another supplier, like the farmers who grow the cottons, right? So they all have a kind of interconnected supply chain. And everybody is doing their part of the function, but at the end of the day, the whole supply chain is operating with the same goal, with the same objective, that how they can fulfill the customer demand. Could you get my point here?
Yeah, understood.
Okay, very good. So as you can see that as the supply chain moves, as the supply chain is moving from stage to stage, like for example, from supplier to manufacturer to distributor to the retailer and finally to the customer, this is a generic supply chain process. This is a very common supply chain process where goods moving from upstream to the downstream. And as they move from one stage to the next stage, they are adding value. For example, if you look at, for example, let's take an example of the furniture business. The furniture, who is the largest furniture retail store in Bangladesh? Do you know the name?
Automotive, it was popular.
Automotive,
okay.
And Khan Furniture there.
Okay, very good, wonderful. So they basically sell the finished product, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And when they produce and sell, they sell the finished product, but they need to get these things produced by somebody up in the supply chain. And someone is producing the wood, someone is finishing them, someone is shaping them, someone is cutting them, processing them. So all these things, they are all raw materials. They are part of the raw materials that go into a finished product. So in the process of the supply chain, when the supplier is moving their raw materials to the next step in the supply chain, from suppliers to the manufacturer, this raw materials that they're moving from the supplier to the manufacturer, it gets value added. And when manufacturer is moving from his factory to the distribution center, he's adding value into the next process. And then so on until the final customer. So as you can see right in front of you, the supply chain process, where we have got the final customer on the right hand side. And also we have got the retail store, which is the Walmart. And Walmart also need the distribution center, the DC. And Walmart also have got their supplier, which is the Procter and Gamble, you know, P&G, right? P&G, yeah, P&G is one of the suppliers of Walmart, like P&G, Unilever, Johnson and Johnson. There are many more. So all of them are basically part of the supply chain where they are helping Walmart to make their stores, their shelves replenished on a regular basis, on a continuous basis. And all these P&G, Unilever, all these companies, they also need, they also have their suppliers. Like, for example, some of them produce the plastics, like the bottle manufacturer. Some of them produce the chemicals, and some of them produce the paper. Some of them produce the timber, and so on and so forth. So they need to have their first tier, second tier, third tier suppliers, and those raw materials come from those suppliers to P&G or Unilever, and then they add value to them and then move to the Walmart store in the or Walmart's distribution center. So in a supply chain process, you can see that we have got suppliers, we have got manufacturers, we have got distributors, we have got retailers and customers. So as the process looks like it's going from left to right, so the leftmost entity that we have in the supply chain, it's called the supplier, and that's what we call the upstream supply chain entity. And on the right hand side, the last entity we have is the customer, and that's what we call the downstream supply chain entity. And in between, we have got other parties involved. So the products that get manufactured by the supplier, they move from upstream to the downstream. And also there are some other flow that happens simultaneously. So we have got three types of flow that happen across the supply chain. Like the three types of flows in a supply chain would be, for example, one of the flows could be the products flow. The second flow is the products flow. The information flow. And the last
risk flow.
And the third one is, who can say the third one? Products flow, information flow. Third one?
Money.
Financial flow.
Financial part, money.
Yes, exactly. The financial flow. That means that's the third flow. And this product and information, they flow like products, they move from left to right. Information flow back and forth, from front to back to front. But the financial flow, which direction does it go? From front to back or back to front? Payment flow or financial flow?
Back to from customer to supplier, customer to supplier.
Exactly. Customer will pay to the retailer, retailer will pay to the distributor, and so on. Right?
Downstream to upstream.
Yes, exactly. So product flow usually happen from upstream to downstream, financial flow from downstream to upstream, where the information flow can be both way. It go back and forth. Okay. So this is also another overview of the supply chain, how it works. We have got the sourcing part of the supply chain, which is the supplier side. And then we have got the transportation, and there are different types of transportation. Service is connecting the supply chains. Like, for example, we have got air transportation, we have got ocean transportation, we have got rail transportation, pipeline transportation, and also we have got the rail transportation. Okay, there are 5 types of transportation modes that are usually involved in a supply chain. So each of these different transportation modes, they have got different cost and benefit. Like the air transportation is quick but very expensive. Sea transportation is very slow but very less expensive. Again, if you look at the rail transportation, or if you look at the other modes, they have got different pros and cons. So each of the transportation service providers, they will be providing their service depending on the need of the customer. Like for example, if the Walmart need to have the T-shirts that they will sell on next week during the Christmas holiday, and the T-shirt is still in the factory in Bangladesh. Now, what would be the best mode of transportation that the company need to consider to get the products at the right time, at the right place for the right customer?
Sir, it must be fly mode.
Shipment.
Yes, it must be the air shipment.
Yes.
So if this is the air shipment and the time is short, now what do you think? What would be the pricing in that case?
High cost.
It will be high cost. So can Walmart charge high price for the same product because of the time?
No, that will be low profit.
They cannot, right? They cannot tell the customer, this T-shirt is coming by air, that's why you have to pay $2 a piece. The customer will say no, right?
No, this, yes.
Okay. Okay. So now you can understand the importance of the supply chain planning now. Supply chain planning, it has to be very, very well and very meticulously planned so that the customer and also the supplier are not in a position that will put them into a serious pressure, in a serious stress that will make their relationship bitter. Like for example, if such a situation happens, some customer will say, the supplier, you have to pay for the air transportation, you have to pay for it. And supplier will say, no, why I will pay? You pay for it now. So now there is a relationship problem, right? There is a problem with the tension that customer don't want to take the responsibility, and also the supplier don't want to take the responsibility, but the product must reach, because if the supplier cannot ship the product, and if the season is gone, if the Christmas season is gone, they cannot sell this inventory.
Yes.
Right? So now the supply chain has to really make a very tough decision that what they should do. So overall, one of the very important link in the supply chain, as you can see that we have been talking about the supplier, we have been talking about the manufacturer, and also we have been talking about the customer, but also there are first tier, second tier, third tier suppliers, just we mentioned before a few minutes back. And also in the customer side, we have got multi-tier customers as well. Now, as you can see that the solid lines, the lines that connecting these squares, these boxes, these are basically the link in the supply chain. And also these are representing the flow of information from one stage to the next stage in the supply chain. So one of the very critical process in the supply chain is the information flow, because it is the information flow. This is what is keeping the supply chain connected. This is what is keeping the customer and supplier connected and knowing, letting each other know what they are doing and what is going on with the rest of the supply chain. So that's why in a supply chain relationship, it is very, if we look at only the supplier to customer, it can be a very simple structure of the supply chain, but actually in the real life, the supply chain structure is not so simple because of the multi-agent connection within the supply chain that makes the supply chain structure very complicated. So what is the objective of the supply chain? The overall objective of the supply chain is to maximize the value. Now, whose value? Yes,
Sir,
go
I have
ahead.
a question, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, in previous slide, the multi-tier mean, if you can give an example to us.
Multi-tier supply chain?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Let's say, for example, take an example of the automotive supply chain, for example, like car manufacturer Toyota, or even garments, all of them are very much similar. Now, what happens is in a multi-tier supply chain, let's say this is the garment manufacturer, for example, or the Toyota car manufacturer. Now, they have their suppliers, like, for example, some of these suppliers are producing the fabric, some of them are producing the cartoons or the boxes, some of them are producing the color, some of them producing the other accessories. And each of these suppliers, the first tier supplier, they have their, again, another line of suppliers behind them. Like, for example, the fabric manufacturer, they have got different types of fabric like cotton, they have synthetic, they have got very different colors, and they have got different weights, and they have got different thickness. So all these things that, again, requires to get it supplied by different suppliers. So one supplier may not do everything. So they will be choosing the suppliers who are giving the best of the quality and the best of the price. And that's how they will select from a list of suppliers, a few of them. So if you go even further down, the tier 3 to n number of suppliers, here in the tier 3 suppliers, you can see that there are suppliers who are producing. There is one supplier who are producing for multiple.
Can you mute the mic, please?
Please.
The mic.
Sir, you can mute all microphone.
Okay. All right. So as we were talking about the multi-tier supply chain, as you can see that one supplier, one large supplier, they are again supplying to multiple of these tier 2 suppliers. Let's say, for example, let me take another example. Let's take an example of the. Are you familiar with the semiconductor supply chain?
Yes, sir.
Now, what happened to the semiconductor supply chain recently? Semiconductor are
especially shortage in the world. So especially I'm servicing actually in Toyota. Toyota in different model cars are not being produced due to shortage of semiconductor, like DVD side, like electronics parts, like hybrid systems parts. So Toyota already informed us about that issues, and we prepare for that issues to our salespersons or our supplier also, our customers information also.
Brilliant, brilliant. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Sheikh MD Al Amin, and I'm actually working with Navana, who's our sole distributor of Toyota Motors, Toyota Forklift, and Suzuki outboard motor also.
Okay. Wonderful, brilliant. So as you have heard from your colleague, he's very correct. He said very correctly, that's what is happening with the automotive supply chain now. Like, for example, during the COVID-19, in the last 1.5 year time, when the whole world was literally at a lockdown for some time, and most of the industries, most of the factories were not working for a couple of months, and that's what happened to the factories in Taiwan. The TSMC, the name of the major semiconductor manufacturer of the world, is called the TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation. So TSMC supplies, they supply the microchips to many different industries, to many different companies. Like, for example, they are the supplier of the chips to Apple. They are supplier of chips to Samsung, Hyundai, Toyota, Honda. You can name even to the Boeing and Airbus. Okay, so they are supplying to many different industries, even to the medical industries, like, for example, the General Electric, GE, Philips, and all other medical device manufacturer. So what happens is, during the COVID-19, the factory was closed for some time, and they could not, because they usually, when the customers, they place the order for the semiconductor, they place the order many years well in advance. Like, for example, the semiconductors that they are supplying now to Toyota, those are the semiconductors they have received the order almost 8 to 10 years back. So if you place an order for semiconductor today, you may not get the supply until next 5 to 10 years time, no matter how much you want to pay, but the semiconductor won't be available. So they work on a long-term demand. And some of the industries, some of the factories, some of the industries, like for example, the electronics companies or electronic industry, like for example, that produce the television, they produce the mobile phones, they produce the optical devices, also, for example, the CCTV cameras and so on. So all these electronic device producers, they can place the order in bulk well in advance. But what happens to the automotive factories, automotive manufacturers like Toyota and Honda and all these? They usually change the model every year, and they change not the whole car, but some of the features every year. So they really cannot exactly presume that what manufacturer, what chips they'll require for a Toyota model that is going to be sold in the market in the year 2030 or 2035. So they will be in full information what chips they need at that time, maybe maximum 8 to 10 years before, not before that. So what happens is for the car manufacturers, what happened is during the last COVID-19 period, they could not make the chips. So these chips that customers, that Toyota or Honda or all the auto manufacturers, they are selling the 2022 model or 2023 models that are coming, they may not have many of the features in the same car that they used to have in the previous models before 2019. Do you understand me at this point?
Yes, sir, got it.
So why they do that? Why they do that? The reason they are doing it because of the chip shortage. Because of the chip shortage, they will not stop selling the car. What they will do is they will remove that feature from the next model, and they will go ahead with manufacturing the car without that feature, and they will sell it to the market. They will make sure the product is going into the market, the product is available into the market, but they will cut off that feature that for which they don't have the chips. Like for example, it could be a rear view camera, for example. It could be the side view camera, or it could be some other feature that the car used to have, but because of the semiconductor, it cannot be produced, it cannot be incorporated now, and they will remove that feature.
Sir, so the point is that chips they didn't get in COVID-19 times, they ordered it 9 to 10 years or 7 to 10 years earlier.
Yeah. What happened is they placed the order, but there are customers who are having like volume requirements, different volume requirements. Like some customer will order for 50 million, some order 10 million. So they will do the they will choose the suppliers to give the products, the semiconductors, based on the volume. If the customer has a bigger volume, and that's a big customer, means they are paying more, and that's where their preference goes instead of a small customer. Like for example, you can see the COVID vaccine. Why India did not give the COVID vaccine to Bangladesh? The AstraZeneca COVID vaccines, they took the money, right? They took the money, India took the money, but they did not give it on time.
Because they have to fulfill their own demand.
Exactly. Similarly, there are many other countries, like including the Saudi Arabia, many other countries, they are also buying the AstraZeneca, which is manufactured in India. So imagine who is a bigger customer and who is paying more. So the supply will go to that customer, leaving the smaller customers behind. And this is the game in the supply chain. Do you get my point, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So with that, I would like to give you an overview of the this is what is always there is a strategy in the supply chain. And when we design the strategy in a supply chain, that supply chain strategy is based on the customer value. Because when we say value, who determines the value, and based on whom we determine the value. So this value that you see in front of me, can you see the value in this equation? Supply chain surplus is the function of customer value minus supply chain cost. Do you see that equation?
Yes.
Yes. So who is for whom we are working around to create that value? For whom is this value?
Customer.
Exactly. Exactly. So that means if we have the portion of the value bigger and portion of the supply chain cost smaller, that means the outcome, the supply chain surplus is going to be bigger as well.
Yes.
So the objective in a supply chain to maximize overall value that the overall combined supply chain is creating for their final customer. So now if you look at, again, I go back to the Toyota's example. Toyota usually, when they manufacture one car, how many materials, how many parts that go into one complete car? What is your guess? Minimum?
More than 2,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could go up to even 3,000. Okay, it could go up to 3,000 depending on the models.
Depending on the model, yes.
Yeah. So now what happens is, if you have 3,000 parts going into one final product, that means how many suppliers you are dealing with, and how many suppliers are working with the same goal or same objective or same understanding that you are working with. That means you have your customer, you are the manufacturer, you know customer, what they want, but how do you communicate your understanding of the customer value to your supplier? Now the question is, every customer is same? No, every customer is not same. In the same industry, in the same market, some customer want low price. Again, some customer want high quality but high price. Now, with these two kind of with these two kind of customer, you have to work with the supplier so that you can serve the value for the customer as they want. The customer who want low price, low quality, and you are working with the supplier to make sure you're giving that to that customer. Again, another supplier want high quality and they're willing to pay high price, and you have to work with your supplier to serve that value for that customer. So the supply chain now has to deal with that decision, that how should I work with my supplier so that I can satisfy the requirements of both my customers. Okay, so when you understand this value proposition, when you understand what my customer want, then you can work backward. You can work backward to figure out how can I serve this customer as the customer is asking for me. So similarly, if you look at the examples here for the supply chain decisions, now as I gave you some examples of the Walmart, one of the critical decision that Walmart has to make is, and one of the most important variable in the supply chain is the time. The time. That means the right product at the right place for the right customer with the right quality, right quantity. All these right, there are 7 rights, and all these things has to be right for that right customer at the end of the day. So how do you make sure that Walmart has the product available whenever they need it, wherever they need it, at what price they need it, and it is available as much as the customer wants it? So putting this all 7 rights together, it is a decision that the supply chain has to make, that how can I make sure these 7 rights, like right product, right place, right time, right customer, with the right quality, right quantity, for the right customer. So all these things that I need to combine together so that I'm serving the customer as they want it, for the low price, low quality, for the high price, high quality. So in the decision phases in the supply chain, as we see that there are a couple of things along the supply chain decision process is the supply chain strategy. That means, what is your supply chain strategy? Some supply chains work along the efficiency, and some supply chain work along the effectiveness. Now, what is the difference between efficiency and effectiveness? Efficiency is about being lean. Lean means lean supply chain and agile supply chain. Lean means you're doing more for less. You're doing more for less. But when we say agile, agile means being effective, or we are saying that we will deliver it at the right time, wherever it is. Okay, so you don't worry about the cost, but you are focusing on the customer order fulfillment. So the challenge is for this customer who want it whenever and wherever, and whatever cost it may be, he's willing to pay. So this customer is not same as the other customer who is lean oriented. Lean customer, they are willing to pay, but they are willing to compromise the service quality. They don't worry about the service, they don't worry about the quality, but they want the product at a lower price. Now, looking at the supply chain strategy or supply chain design, these supply chain decisions are based on a couple of factors. Like one of them is the location. Like, for example, I'm sure you are familiar with the Zara, right? Zara is a Spanish retail fashion retail chain, right?
Inditex.
Inditex. Yes. What is the Inditex? What is their strategy? What they really work around? What they are serving for their customer?
Actually, low cost, predictable item. They just sourcing from like Asian region, and fashionable and maybe unpredictable demand. They are sourcing from Portugal, by Italy, or something like this area.
Brilliant.
I mean, they have two strategy: one from
Brilliant.
Europe, one from Asia.
Exactly.
Am I right, sir?
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank
The Inditex is a Spanish retail chain. Originally, when they started their business back in 1975, their main focus was to be they used to work in the fashion industry. There are different seasons like winter, summer, fall, and autumn. And in different seasons, they have different cloth requirements, different fashion requirements. So what they do is they will see what is the trend in that particular season. And instead of focusing on the cost, they will focus on the customer demand, and they will source it from the locations where they can get it faster. Like, for example, they can do it from Europe, and within the Europe, they have Portugal. They have got other East European countries, which are low cost in manufacturing, but shorter distance and can reach within a shorter time. But for the volume items, the items that are in big volume, and it not has to be very quickly, the customer want it, they will go for those products to Bangladesh or to China or Vietnam or some other countries. So this is a location-based strategy, that what product or what line or what SKUs that you will be sourcing from where. And then again, some of the products that you may not be able to do it from a nearest location, and you have to go for further. So that's where you might have to focus on the transportation mode. It can be air transportation. It could be cost-wise cheaper to manufacture, but the transportation-wise it will be expensive. So now we need to find a trade-off, that what could be the best transportation mode and location combination that will give you the optimum price. Okay. So along the line with the supply chain planning, another important decision that the supply chain managers need to make is the that planning decisions, that which market that they should be serving. That means which market would be most profitable for the firm to serve. Then how much the inventory should be built up, like how much inventory that you should need at a time. Like companies can operate on JIT, just in time, right? Are you familiar with the JIT technique?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Especially Toyota production system, TPS, actually using this theme just in
Exactly.
time. And that's
Exactly.
why sometime when we order our parts and other accessories or our product also, we always consider this just in time.
Exactly. So it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off between between your holding inventory versus you're doing it replenishment on a real-time basis. Okay. And now again, the next question is, how would you want to operate on a daily basis, hourly basis, 24/7 basis, or weekly or monthly? And what would be your operating strategy that you can optimize your cost, keep your cost down, but at the same time fulfill your demand? So now you have a time dimension, the time-based decision. That means your time is the critical question, that which product needs to be produced at what time and where, from which location that has to be produced, so that you can keep up with your customer demand or with your customer order. So in a supply chain, we have got, there are two kinds of supply chain process. One is the push and pull supply chain. Now, push, you understand, right? Push means you produce huge inventory and try to push it down the supply chain, like as a big volume, and you're trying to push it down with a discount. But other supply chain, which is the case of the pull is basically will be the case for the Inditex case, where you have the design, you have the order, and then you start working around that supply chain to fulfill that order. So usually the fast moving consumer goods, FMCG, like the P&G, Unilever, Johnson & Johnson, AC Nielsen, these companies, they basically work around the push. They produce in huge bulk inventory and then push it down. Like, for example, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, also the French company that Danone, all these companies, they work on the basis of the push. But the pull is the case of the Dell computer, the Dell laptop, also you can say Inditex, and also there are some other companies who are working around that. Like, for example, the online shoe store, also the Amazon, the online shoe store, the Zappos, there's a North American company called Zappos. They sell the shoes online, but they sell the shoe on the basis of customer preferences, and they create a huge wide inventory so that the customer can choose whatever they want. So they don't want to maintain a physical store or physical inventory anywhere. Rather, they will source it from the manufacturers directly based on the customer demand, and they will deliver it to the customer whenever they want it. So what happens is, in the Zappos, they give the customer a time, like 24-hour or 72-hour or 96-hour time, that if you don't like the shoe, if you don't like it, you can return it without any delivery cost. Okay, so that's how the push and pull work. So in the cyclic view of the supply chain, also it works around the supplier, manufacturer, distributor, retailer, and customer. So basically, this is a process in a supply chain that divide into series of cycles along the supply chain, depending on the stages of the supply chain, from upstream to downstream or downstream to upstream.
So, sir, in pull strategy, the manufacturer no needs to belong warehouse, right, sir?
Yes, they don't really rely on their own warehouse or own inventory, but the inventory can be held by somebody else. Like, for example, Dell. For example, Dell. When the Dell used to sell their laptop online, how they work? They don't hold the inventory physically by themselves. They have their suppliers. Like, for example, some supplier produced a keyboard, some supplier produced a monitor, some supplier produced the chips, like the Intel. Okay, and
multiple tier from multiple
yes,
tier.
Exactly, multi-tier supply chain. So each of the suppliers, they will hold the inventory across different parts of the supply chain. But when the customer is putting the order by clicking on the mouse, the same information is going to Dell, and at the same time, it is going into each of the suppliers who are also need to supply the raw materials to the Dell. So the Dell's assembly plant is in Texas, in Austin. So these suppliers, they have their facilities or warehouses somehow close to Austin. And when they receive, they know that customer is ordering like 15-inch monitor or 17-inch monitor. They want 2 terabyte memory. They want the Intel chips or Hyundai chips or whatever. So whatever the orders the customer is placing, each of the suppliers knowing at the right time, at the same time as the Dell is knowing. And then they will start moving their inventories towards the Dell's assembly plant. And if the customer want it within 24 hours or 72 hours, the Dell will ship it out accordingly with the DHL or FedEx or other delivery companies.
So, sir, according to demand, Dell pull the inventories that they need to manufacture the laptop or the computer.
Yes. Yes, they call it in the supply chain term, we call it the postponement. Do you understand the word postponement? Postponement. Postponement means, let me write it down here. Can you see this? Postponement. So what is postponement? That means you have your parts are ready, they are ready, but they did not go into one finished product yet. And when the customer wants different items, different specifications, they will pull them from the available inventory and they will assemble the final product after receiving the final order.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Parts are ready, but they are not.
Parts are ready, but they did not go into the finished product. They will not go into the final assembly.
Before confirming the final order, they are not making any inventory.
Exactly.
Finished products. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Until unless customer making the final payment through the credit card, once the payment is made, then the inventory start to move towards the assembly.
That means we now understand that the full management is only like on kind of online business.
Yes, exactly. Similar the case with the Amazon.com, and also any online business, they will be working on that basis basically.
Understood.
Actually, we can call also it's a make to order basis.
Yes, make to order.
Right?
Exactly.
To order. Yes.
Exactly. So we talked about the push and pull. Let me take some examples now. You can go through this later on your own, and I don't want to. This will be basically the same discussion that I had. And can you see these brands in front of you? The examples of the supply chains.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We have got different brands here, and these are basically the big name fashion retail chains and also big name retail chains. Like for example, the Zara. We have got the Kohl's, Next, Walmart, and all these. So basically, all of them are in the category of FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, and they all are working on a product that the consumer will buy on a repeated basis, on a regular basis, and they are buying it at a different time as they need it. So these supply chains, they need to work on a very real-time basis, that when the customer demand change or the preference change, they need to work around the strategy that how shall I fulfill this customer demand or customer need. Why it is very important? Because if I cannot fulfill the customer demand on a real-time basis, my competitor is going to do that. If I cannot do it, my competitor is ready to do that. So if I cannot do that, that means I'm losing my customer to my competitor. Do you understand why this is so challenging?
Yes, sir. Competitor is always ready to fulfill the customer's demand. So basically, they always like to take challenges to fulfill demand instantly.
Exactly. That's why every supply chain, like for example, Zara has their own supply chain, Walmart has their own supply chain, H&M have their own supply chain, Target have their own supply chain. All of them are working around their own supply chains, but all of them are working with the similar kind of goal that how can I create value for my customer? That means whatever customer want it, whenever they want it, and however they want it. So with this objective, they are working around the goal that how can I satisfy my customer with their requirements? If I don't do that, that means I'm losing this customer to my competitor. So now the question is, for example, for a Zara supply chain, you can look at the questions here, that what advantage does Zara gain against the competition by having a very responsive supply chain? So as we were talking about the responsiveness or effectiveness, there are two aspects of the supply chain. One is the agile supply chain. The other one is the lean supply chain. Lean and
supply
agile.
chain.
Yes, lean and agile supply chains, they work around two different goals and objectives. One is like the agile supply chain works about the responsiveness. That means fulfilling the customer need on a real-time basis right at the spot. But the other supply chain, like the lean supply chain, they work around efficiency or cost reduction. That means they will try to postpone the order. They will try to combine a couple of orders to fulfill the objective of cost-effective delivery. Like, for example, if you look at the DHL, FedEx, or UPS, all these delivery companies, you'll see that if you want it on a short time basis, like 12-hour delivery, 24-hour delivery, they'll deliver it to you on a short notice. They will do it at a very high cost. But again, if you allow them more time, like 3 days, 72 hour, or 4 days, 96 hour, what will happen is they will combine a couple of different orders that go in the same direction, so that you are sharing that cost with other customers who are also located in your area and receiving the shipment at a different or a bit of a longer time span. Okay.
So in agile supply chain strategy, they are doing it with a higher cost and charging higher profit for this service.
Exactly. That's correct. And how about the lean? What do you understand about the lean?
Lean is efficiency and less cost.
Yes.
In the same scenario, sir, lean, what's the how the lean supply chain will work? Basically, they won't go for the delivery instantly. They will wait for another delivery, and they will search for efficiency, right, sir?
Exactly. They will try to optimize the cost, or they will try to minimize the cost by combining. Like, they will try to give you economies of scale. They will try to achieve the economies of scale, basically.
So one question, sir.
Yes.
Actually, these two strategy, actually agile and lean, or agile responsiveness, or lean or effectiveness. This is we have studied some terms in our SCM course, that the tailor-fit strategy. So if I use my one strategy in one operations or one organizations, better than we actually find out what kind of strategy is needed. Actually, if we go with agile, then my cost is high. If we go with lean, then my cost is low, but customer satisfaction creating high. So tailor-fit strategy is the best way to about between these two.
Yeah, that you exactly what you said is correct, and that is what is depending on your customer need. Okay, this is, can you see the word here, customer needs? That means what your customer want, and depending on that, there is a third option that we call it, that's what we call lean agile. That means the third option where we are combining lean and agile together. That means to some extent, to the extent of the supply chain, we are using the lean, and another part of the supply chain where we cannot use lean, we use the agile combined. Like for example, we take the example for the, let's say, semiconductor. Okay, so what happens is in the semiconductor supply chain, you cannot find an alternative supplier immediately, right? You have to wait for that company to deliver the chips to you so that you can start producing your final product. So you can produce the product at your own pace, but you cannot produce the chips at your own pace. So what happens is you try to design your manufacturing process in a way that like what we call the Kanban, you know, the Kanbans, the Japanese word. The Kanban means the Kanban, that means when we use the JIT system, and there's a card, and that card has got the requirement for the materials, that what materials should go into which product, and you are designing the inventory in a way so that you don't receive it too late, you don't receive it too early. And whenever your assembly line is moving, and when each stage in the manufacturing line or assembly line, when your product is requiring a certain type of raw material, you're getting it supplied only at that point, at that time. Do you understand me what I'm saying here? Like for example, Toyota is manufacturing the car, okay? And when they are producing the car, they don't produce everything in one place. The car is moving in the assembly line. And when it go to different workstation, different person is doing different tasks. Like someone is putting the glass, someone is putting the window, someone is putting the rubber, someone is putting the electrical components, someone is putting the engine, someone is putting the tire. So when you are moving the car from one stage or one workstation to next workstation, that means you are requiring different inventories at different points, not all inventories at the same time. So when you are moving along that assembly line, and you know, at this point, at this time, I will need this raw material with this quantity. And only that quantity, that raw material at that time will be delivered at that point. And that is the purpose of the Kanban. Are you with me, folks? Do you understand?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. It's
What is
understandable.
the term, Japanese term?
Kanban.
Kanban systems. It's a
Yeah.
JTI, Kanban system.
Yeah. Nowadays they use the Kanban, the electronic Kanban.
Yeah.
Before it was the paper Kanban. So what happens is in the Lean Agile process, you are doing the things that you can control within your process, but you are also allowing some time and space or time and motion, so that you are also creating that flexibility. Those are the processes that are out of your control, so that you can accommodate them as much as time they need.
Sir,
Yes.
can you repeat this again, please?
Okay, I'm repeating that again. In the supply chain process, when we say lean and agile, we are talking about efficiency and effectiveness, right? So now when we talk about the third one, the lean agile, to the point here, lean agile is basically explaining that we are optimizing the part of the process that we can control. We are trying to minimize the cost or minimize the time for the part of the process that we can control within our own jurisdiction. But there are also some other parts and supplies, like for example, the semiconductor, we cannot produce by ourselves, or we cannot tell the supplier to give whenever we want it. So now the question is how we should accommodate our process so that we are also keeping the cost down, and also we are fulfilling the customer need at the earliest possible time. So that's where we are creating that combination of the cost and efficiency, where we are keeping the process in a way that it will work maybe not as fast, it will move little slow, and if we move it slow, the cost will be lower, but it will also accommodate the time and space for the part that is critical to deliver or complete the final product. So you're creating basically an amount of supply chain flexibility to accommodate your lean and agile strategy. Are you understanding what I'm saying here?
Yeah, got it now.
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, all right. So these are the questions that I have created for you to think about, keeping the Zara's supply chain strategy. Like, they are working around the responsiveness. They are trying to be agile, but also there are also other questions that why has Inditex chosen to have both in-house manufacturing and outsourced manufacturing? If you remember, I said that some of the products they manufacture from within Europe, some of them they come to Asia, like go to China, go to Bangladesh, to India, or some other place, right? So there is a trade-off between these two decisions. So also there is a question.
And basically, yes, sir, they are looking for efficiency, right, sir? Here.
Exactly. Because if they only stay with the one strategy, they cannot compete in the industry with other competitors. So they have to find a balancing point where they can trade off between the best of responsiveness and efficiency at the same time.
That means they are maintaining both agile and lean, wherever
Yes.
need, whenever need.
Exactly.
Customer expectation.
Exactly. That's where we are calling it lean agile.
Yeah.
Sir, in every case, is it feasible to transform from agile to lean, or maintaining lean agile in every cases?
Not every cases it is possible, because if you change from lean to agile, that means there is a need to change your setup. Like, for example, let me take an example. Let me take an example of Amazon, for example. I'm sure you're familiar with Amazon, all of you, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
This will be a good example. So let's say, for example, Amazon, originally they were a online book retailer, and then they started to expanding their business to other kinds of, like, for example, gift, then music, and also later on many other products now. So what happened is, when they are expanding their business portfolio, they are expanding their line of retail categories. The challenge they faced was their delivery. The challenge they faced was their delivery. That means how to deliver the product that the customer is ordering within the time they promised to the customer. So that's why recently you have heard, I'm sure, that they are using the drone now, drone for delivery. And also, since the COVID-19, when there was also now at the moment, you know that there is a huge shortage of the shipping container. There is a huge shortage because during the COVID-19 time, there was some products delivered by the containers. They went to some place and they did not return, because when it come back, it has to come empty. So they did not want it to come empty. So that's why many containers are like packed up. Yeah, in some location, and some location they are short of container. Like in China, there's a huge shortage of container. That's why the container, the cost of container, like, which was $1,000 before per container, or $3,000 per container, now it has become almost $9,000-10,000. Why? Because of the shortage of the container. So because of this problem, what Amazon is doing now, they are not relying on container from anybody else. Like, for example, not from Maersk Line or Lloyd or P&O. They don't rely on anybody. They are creating their own container. They are manufacturing their own container to deliver their own products. So they are trying to take full control of their supply chain from sourcing to delivery, so that they can manage the time that they promise to their customers. And that's how they are becoming of course, they are investing in the logistics infrastructure, which is a long-term investment. It is a fixed asset, but at the same time, they will try to optimize on their variable cost by managing their own processes.
Sir, can we call it backward integration for the Amazon story?
Yeah, it is sort of, yes, it is a backward integration. Yes, it is. Any other question?
No, sir. Please proceed.
Okay. So another example is Toyota. I also mentioned a couple of times about Toyota's case. One of the very important decisions that the Toyota supply chain needs to make is where they should, the plants should be located. Like, for example, Toyota sells their car all over the world, right? They have their cars selling in the North America, Europe, Australia, Asia, Middle East, everywhere. Now, it doesn't mean that they will have to set up the manufacturing plant everywhere. It doesn't mean so. So what happens is they will set up a manufacturing plant in a strategic location, and from that location they will try to serve multiple markets. Like, for example, for North America, the Toyota's manufacturing plant is in Kentucky. Okay, and in Kentucky they don't produce all the models. They have some certain models of Toyota that are produced in North America, but some other models that are produced in Mexico, for example. And they are shipped from Mexico to US, and that models that are produced in US, they are shipped into Mexico and Canada. Okay, so next question is, should plants be able to produce for all markets? Not necessarily. Like for Asian market, for European market, there is a different requirements, different need for the car, different types of car, different models. So that will be depending on the need for different markets. So that's how the Toyota needs to work around their supply chain. Again, coming back to Amazon, Amazon's story is again another interesting story that I just mentioned a little bit. But Amazon doesn't own any products. They don't manufacture anything. What they do is they do the sourcing from thousands of suppliers around the world, and their main strategic resource is their network. Like, for example, Amazon, they have their warehouses in 4 different parts of the US, like in the West Coast in Los Angeles, in the East Coast in New York. Then they have got in the north and south of the US, and also in Canada they have got in Toronto, in Mississauga. Okay, they have got their warehouse, and again they have their warehouse in Australia and as well as in Europe. So they basically are using their regional warehouses to make the inventory available and deliver to the nearest location from those warehouses. So recently, Amazon has acquired, they have taken over one company in Saudi Arabia, which is called Souk.com. This was a small, but it is a local, it's a regional in the Middle East market. They are quite big. Souk.com, this was a local regional retailer, but they had a very extensive network and they had a huge customer base. So Amazon has taken over. They have purchased this Souk.com already. So they did not come and invest in any warehouse here in the Middle East, but they are taking over the resources, warehouses, and the network in the Middle East, and they are just operating based on existing Souk's network. So that's how Amazon is trying to optimize their supply chain by,
Sir,
yes.
Sorry for the interruption. Networking means distribution network.
Yes, exactly. Distribution network. Yeah.
Okay.
So every part of the world, they have their different customer base, and they maintain those customer connections through their network, from their distribution center. And they figure out based on the distance and also based on the mode of transportation that can serve those customers in the most cost-effective manner. Okay, and also Amazon will give you options, like, for example, you want 12-hour delivery, 24-hour delivery. But now in North America, anywhere in North America, in Canada and the US, if you order anything in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning, you can get it delivered by 6 o'clock in the evening. So they will make sure that whenever you are placing the order in the morning time, it get delivered by the evening of the same day. But if you order it sometime in the afternoon or evening, it will get delivered on the next day. Okay, so that's how the supply chain works. And as you can see that most of the companies are trying to go online now after the COVID-19. And what is your take on that? What do you think? Is it really worth that companies are trying to switch from bricks and mortars to the online retail stores?
Yeah, it's online. It will save time. You'll get the delivery on time. Now ensuring all the company try to ensuring they get the delivery on time. So it's saving time also.
Yes. So in Bangladesh, what is the situation now? What is the trend after the COVID-19? Do you see many companies are going online as well?
Yeah. I think in the after COVID and during COVID also, Bangladesh is now getting higher selling.
Too many companies are going into online business. BATBC, British American Tobacco, has opened their online business line, which is brand name is Shopot, and then Walmart has started their own online shop, which is the name Wildcart. Not Walmart, Wildcart.
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 In Bangladesh?
Yes, sir.
That is not Walmart, that is for Walton, the Wildcart one.
Wildcart.
Wildcart is one for Walton. That is not Walmart.
Oh, Walton is basically Bangladeshi electronic manufacturer. They produce air conditions, refrigerators,
air conditions, all sorts of electrical and electronics appliances.
They have a mobile phone also?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They have mobile phone.
They started their business with mobile phone.
Oh, really?
No, they didn't start their business with mobile phone. They started with television and refrigerators and AC.
But recently they are making mobile phone also.
Yeah, recently they are making the mobile phones also. They have been making it for, I think, last 6 to 8 years. But recently they have gone into the smartphone market. They're doing quite well, I think.
I think, dear, you're missing some points. I've seen Walton Mobile 10 years ago. So
okay, around that time, because I work in Walton, I am in Walton, so I work in the commercial and sourcing procurement.
How about the foreign retail stores? How they are? Do you see Amazon is operating in Bangladesh as well? Amazon?
No, Amazon is not directly operating.
Okay.
And
any other foreign retail stores doing business in Bangladesh, like online?
Daraz is working. Daraz was recently, I think, obtained by Alibaba.
So Alibaba.
Alibaba.
Yeah. Alibaba is doing through.
Do the Alibaba has a local agent in Bangladesh, or they are doing directly from China?
They are doing through Daraz.
Local agency.
Okay. So in Bangladesh, if the online company, the companies want to do online business, they have to have a local agent, or they can do directly?
No, they have to have a local agent.
Okay. So they have to get registered.
Yeah.
I see.
Initially, they have to firstly start with any local agent. Then after some years, they will get permission. They get permission to start here business.
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. It was very interesting talking to all of you, and I really enjoyed the time talking to this group, interesting group. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
We'll see again.
there is a question.
It was a nice journey also with you, sir.
Thank you,
was
sir.
so informative.
Hope we will get you soon. Hope in next Wednesday or next week, inshallah.
Inshallah. I'll try to give you as much as time I can.
We are really proud of, sir, for you. You are a Bangladeshi Canadian who is having vast experience in supply chain. In Bangladesh, nobody is like you. So you should give us time and you should share your experience with our people in Bangladesh.
Inshallah. I'll try my best, and I look forward to talk to you again, inshallah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and goodbye.
Alaikum assalam, sir.
Goodbye. Walaikum assalam.